part 5. I just want to say that you are very fortunate in the Coachella Valley. Not only do you have amazing visual art, sculpture, glass, paintings, all kinds of stuff to look at in the Coachella Valley, and a lot of outdoor sculpture and so on. You have some unique architecture as well, and that's what your homework assignment is to go and look at some mid-century architecture. People come from all over the world. I know it's hard for you guys because I feel the same way about where I grew up. You're like, why would anybody appreciate this or that? Just because you see it every day, and sometimes you kind of forget, or you never knew. But that mid-century architecture is, oh my goodness, people obsess about it the world over, and come especially to Palm Springs just to see that these unique structures. Modernism Week, which we missed, I believe, or it could be going on right now in February. Modernism has to do with the mid-century modernism. All right, so we're going to back up quite a ways. We're going to back up about 8,000, 9,000 years before modernism. And we're going to talk about some basic shelter. So domestic architecture, we think about, like, domestic means where you live as opposed to going to the grocery store or an office or bank or something like that, or a stadium. But these are ancient houses in Catalhoyuk in Turkey. Anatolia is an ancient site. People still live there today, but this is some of the ancient ruins. And this was a group structure, a group living structure. And we look at Moshe Safdie, who designed these for the Montreal Expo in '67. God, I didn't think those were so old. Anyway, so we look at these, and these are group sort of apartment buildings, and we'll talk about that a little bit more, but they're connected to some other structures, including the Catalhoyuk piece we just looked at. Shelters are, back to our basic needs: protection and historical necessity, available materials, aesthetic choice, follow a precedent, and imitate foreign styles, symbolic importance, and expressing self-identity. And if you think about imitating a foreign style, if you go back to our Capitol building from chapter 2, the reason we're imitating a foreign style, such as the Greeks or Romans, is to show that we appreciate those cultures. We're trying to emulate those historic cultures, because when we're building the Capitol building or the White House or what have you, our country as a nation was very young, and we were trying to show a connection to something more important than ourselves. So that was one of those ideas. Okay, so a habitat, which is Moshe's idea here, the name of this structure built in '67. It has a lot of geometric shapes, which kind of were the international style or the mid-century style, with the simple geometric forms and windows and so on. These aren't quite. These are not mid-century, and they're not quite modernist anymore, because they're starting to break away from just a straight box by extending out a little bit. See how that's kind of happening? And they're irregular. They're not like a constant pattern, okay? So it's a resemblance to abstract sculpture. These are meant to be energy efficient and to be constructed out of available resources. And perhaps this area has a lot of adobe, I don't know. Or this was a project constructed with wood and we just can't see it. So it's comfortable for multiple people in a smaller space. So that was one of our inspirations. We looked at that. This is a close-up. These are one-story mud, brick, and timber houses, very similar to adobes, which I live very close to here in New Mexico, Pueblo culture. And some of these buildings, actually one in Tahoe,